Well, hello, everyone. I'm
I'm
glad to
not on you.
have you on with us. And we got an interesting group here. We have a medical professional with us, and we have three people in the real estate world.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if Maria and Tony, have you guys ever met? No?
I think, didn't we connect on email? Was that you?
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
Who are
Oh.
you, Tony?
Who are you, Tony?
Okay.
Tony is a realtor too.
That answers that question. I'm going to send you my email address, and that way we can connect. What do you do, mortgages?
No, I sell houses.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
real
Well, we
broker.
do the same thing then.
Where are you?
I'm at Better Homes and Gardens in Fort Lee.
Okay. Okay. I'm at Remax in Oradell.
Nice. Oradell's a great town.
And of course, the muscle bound guy over there is a GC.
Muscle bound, yeah, okay.
Cool. Glad to have everybody on.
And what is, Renee, what do you do?
Please,
I'm an
please tell us.
iridologist. Iridology? I'm an
Iridology.
iridologist. Have you heard of that?
She looks into your eyes,
Oh, okay.
and then she tells you, dude, you're jacked up. So let's make it official since we got a couple new people on. I mean, I never know what's going to happen with these things, but I like, since we're on, tell us a little bit about your name, your business, how people can contact you, just in case someone listens and said, hey, I've always wanted to visit an iridologist. I know that if my wife watches this one, I'm going to be going down there, because when I told her, when you came to our workshop, Renee, she was like, oh, do you think she can work on me? I was like, Lord help me. She, anytime that I have a client that has something interesting, she thinks about it for her. I'm like, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to work, But so somebody might say, iridology. Tell us about yourself. Where you located, your company?
I am located in Manhattan, in Washington Heights. Very easy to get to. My business name is Brio Holistics, and Brio means vitality. So what I do is I look in your eyes, and because your eyes is the window to the soul, you can see every organ, tissue, and gland in your eye.
Wow.
Represented in your eye. I'll just show you. The chart, but I'll keep talking at the same time. So because your brain is directly connected to your eye via the optic nerve, whatever happens in your body is, this is the chart. Whatever happens in your body, your brain tells your eye. So through your eye, I can see what the situation is with your colon, let's say, with your kidneys. If you inherited kidneys that are functioning not optimally, I could see that. Wow. And I'm also an herbalist, so I have plenty of herbs and things that can help you bring about a balance. So that's what I do.
Legal herbs, right?
Legal.
Saying.
Very, very legal.
Okay, cool. And Maria, you've been a guest on the show before.
So I'm a realtor, a residential realtor, and I have been for 26 years. And I work with my husband and we're a team of four. My husband, we have a full-time admin, and our buyers are newer buyer's agent, Corey. So we're trying to survive.
Now, Maria, your podcast went live today.
Yeah, I just saw that. I just got back in the office, and
I'm so amped. I was trying to get the video like on YouTube, because it's on our podcast website now. And hopefully it'll get to all these Apple people and all of that. But there's a YouTube video too, and I was trying to get that rocking, but I haven't figured that out just yet. By the end of the day, though, I'll have the video going.
Yeah, I tried to watch the YouTube video and it just kept spinning.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I got to work on that. Marvin, So we're getting a few people here. So, and I know we got to go a little quick. I'm going to do this first, just so we can get the system in place, so we understand what we try to do here, and then because some people are going to drop off a little early. So typically in our settings, since for the first people here, we're trying to make this something where we can just, as owners, chat and learn about, bounce ideas off a real mastermind session, but also be a little bit thematic, so we have somewhere to go. We don't have these lulls. So the theme, like for today, is it is not enough to be busy. The question is, what are we busy about? I love that one for business owners. I want to get everybody's thoughts. And then what we do is we kind of talk about, we kind of try to commit to something for the week, because the idea of business is to keep growing. So we kind of have a commitment at the end of the week, or what we want to do for the next week. And we'll review what we said we were going to do last time and see where we're at. So just a little bit of light accountability, nothing major. I talked about it last week. I said, we make all these things, and then, we do none of them. It's okay. Ain't nobody getting in trouble. This ain't school, right? I think last week when we went through our commitments, I had 2 or 3 things on the list, and I did 0. It happens, but at least it's in front of me. And you know what? It motivated me. And I listened to the tape. I listened to our recording from last week, and I had my list of what I was going to do this week. And guess what? Boom, I did them all. So it definitely helps. So that's the format that we have. But now what we were doing, just really briefly, was just getting your name and what you do, especially for our newer people. Marvin, well, we talked about Maria. Let's talk about Tony real quick. Tell us about you. I mean, you do more than just real estate, but tell us a little bit about you.
A jack of all trades, master of none. I retired from the Navy in 2004, and I started doing real estate. I also work as a judicial interpreter. I translate Spanish and Japanese. I was lucky enough to live in Japan for about 8 years. So I took some college courses and doing that. Just recently, I'm getting into crypto. It's a really, really exciting new world. So I'm learning a lot of stuff. And like you said, it's easy to get sidetracked, especially when you're doing more than one thing. But I've never been the kind of person who likes to do one thing at a time. I get bored easily, so I like to keep juggling.
I hear you. Cool. Colette, you were in first, so just tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
I came in first.
You came in right before Marvin. You beat him by a nose.
My name is Colette Taylor, and I'm the owner of Fluid Financial Group. And what I do is I do save money strategies, helping people set up their retirement, setting up accounts that'll help them to save on taxes and be able to get guaranteed income for life. And I work with anyone. However, I really am wanting to work specifically with women to help educate them more in finances and how to plan for their retirement.
Awesome. And Marvin, it's been a while, my friend. How are you, firstly?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm not too bad, man. Trying to stay busy. You know how it goes. So, but I'm glad you joined us. So tell us about you, because you got a very interesting gig going on.
Yes. So I have a digital marketing agency here in New York, and we work with clients usually in the technology, finance, and health industry. And we strategize digital marketing campaigns for them. And, luckily with everything that's happening now, we've gotten busier as opposed to, not being busy. And I feel like I haven't gotten the break that everyone has gotten, at least forcefully, right? But it's been good. It's we've seen a lot of live stream events, just like what Mark is doing with us here right now. But companies that had their physical events canceled are looking to do virtual events like career fairs, fundraisers, and things like that. So we've been busy on that end, and it's great to meet all of you.
Cool.
Good to meet you.
And it's amazing.
Sorry, Mark. And I'm also into cryptocurrency, so I like the topic.
Good.
So you know what that means. Offline, you guys gotta swap some information and chat.
Definitely.
Right? the way it
Mhm.
works there. So cool. I was gonna say, Marvin and I guess we hooked up last year at an event for events. Remember that? Yeah. So it's amazing how time flies. I think
It
last
does.
year at this time, the entire world was different. So it changes quickly.
We were
But
shaking hands.
yeah, we
Hugging.
were shaking hands and
Dance.
dapping it up and the whole bit. Yeah, now it's like, I told my wife sometimes when I'm walking, I'm still in my office building. So sometimes when I'm walking down the hallway, if I hear people talking, before I turn the corner, I go, just to see if it clears out. It's just like Maria, it's just a test. It's just a test. I just want to see how people react, So, no, sorry. So very cool. We got a nice diverse field. Today, like I said, our theme that we were thinking about, and I would love to get your thoughts, especially when it comes to business, is, and it's a powerful one. It's not enough to be busy. The question is, what are we busy about? I didn't make that quote. That's from Thoreau. So how do you apply that to your business? Like when you think about that, how can you use that to improve your business? Anybody, just jump in.
I can tell you. Go ahead.
The two realtors ready to talk.
Yeah.
I am super guilty of not being focused during this time period. Ordinarily, I'm always trying to refocus myself. Like that's all I do all day because I've got a limited attention span, I'll admit. But I track what I do. It's how many of this and how many of that. And I know how many contacts I need to get a lead and how many leads to get an appointment, to get a sale, blah, blah, blah. I'm very focused on doing those activities that are productive. And that's why we have a team. Everybody's got their jobs. They stay in their lane. This is how we do things best. During this time period, I get any kind of a distraction. Oh, I need to make that phone call. I need to do this. I need to do that. I'm filling up my time being busy and not necessarily being productive. And it's a mindset problem right now for me.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's interesting.
The real estate business is one of the places where you could work the most and make very little or no money at all by being busy, like you said. And that's one of the things I try to work with the new realtors in the office is I try to set them up so to help them focus. Here's are the things that are going to help you, and these are the things that people love to do that are not going to help you. So yeah, focus to me, if you help somebody focus, it helps them not be just busy.
Yeah.
I have to say for myself, I find that I have been busy. You can be busy with work and trying to get things prepared, but you also want to see, again, you want to see the revenue coming in. And for me, because there's different laws being enacted because of coronavirus and wanting to make sure that I'm staying on top of it. So when I'm sitting with a client, I'm able to, help them to understand how they can take advantage of certain things that they're allowed to do now, or, whether they should even go in that direction. So I feel like I'm staying busy because now with anyone else, your business model has changed. Everything has to be done virtual. And so you have to put together a process, and it takes a while for you to see that process working. So, that's been what the busy is for me, working on the process, trying to make sure to stay on task with getting these new laws and how it's affecting their accounts, and for the new people, doing that. So I'm trying to make sure that I am accomplishing something.
Good. Busy is an interesting thing, right? Because we all are busy in one way or the other. One thing I would tell you, not you, just you, but all of us, right? I have the same issue. We're so focused on getting this task accomplished, like you said, and it's the same thing with tax laws, right? Tax laws are always changing. PPP came out they said it on Friday and they released it on Monday, and then on Tuesday it's gone live. And I have colleagues who all they were doing was sending a million questions amongst each other to get it straight. Oh, that's cute and all, but if you're not talking to a person, why do you need to know all that just now? Get the person in the door, get their questions, then do the research. So it's how you prioritize things too sometimes, you know, especially for service-based businesses. We're all service-based for the most part.
Right.
We're always trying to get this knowledge in our head so we're ready for the contact. But if the contact never comes, all that knowledge is almost wasted. So when I think about being busy and it says, what are we busy about? I'm trying to switch myself to focus on reaching out to the person, finding out what their need is. And then we're smart enough that we can pick up whatever we're missing. So that's not a problem, right? Somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to. First of all, we all have our mindset. So the small things we don't know, we'll just tell them. Be all right. I'll get back to you on that one.
Right.
You know, that's cool. So I have some colleagues right now who knows everything there is to know about the PPP and the forgiveness program and this and that, but they're not talking to anybody. So when I think about this statement about it's not enough to be busy, it's what we are busy about. I have to keep in mind that I got to focus on getting to talk to people, or else everything else is just knowledge acquisition going nowhere, you know. And think about, for some of us, your insurance things, taxes, the knowledge that I spend so much time getting right today will change next month.
Change tomorrow.
And I tell you, it's so annoying. That's one reason why I'm starting to hate doing taxes. You know, when they started with the QBI deduction a couple years back, everybody named Mama was trying to learn this QBI before it went live. And they had a new tax form. Everybody's trying to get a sneak peek at the tax form. Well, guess what they did last year? They changed the new tax form and added another tax form. I don't even use the first one because I don't have anybody that need. No, we need to work on focusing on the most important thing. Get the client in the door, get the contact in the door, talk to those people, and then backfill. Does that make sense, or am I bugging out?
No,
Definitely.
that definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
me, I think for me, doing tasks that are the money-making tasks, because in every business you have tasks that are necessary, but that are not going to make you any money. And then you have tasks that are going to make you money. So in my brain, I think I have to do more prioritizing of the tasks that are going to actually bring in the money. And
The revenue generating tasks.
Yeah.
And if you do that and you start making the money, then you can afford to delegate the tasks that are not making.
Yeah, because I have a lot of tasks I don't want to do.
Yeah, one of the big ones is bookkeeping, right? Most people, bookkeeping is not a money-making task, except for me, because I'm doing somebody else's books, right? But even when I do my own, I'm not making money, right? But it's important. What's more important than getting the books done is analyzing the books. That's what you guys have to do. You need to have a report on your desk so you can understand it and then make determinations and when to buy and when to sell. But the actual task, so prioritize it. I know a lot of business owners that say, I'm not paying nobody to do the books. I'll do it myself. That's cute, but you're wasting time. You should be selling your next contract. You should be doing your next build, because those are the things that are gonna generate the income. And then paying for the books, you won't even think about it. Oh, looky, we have a superstar. Now this is actually hilarious. We have 3 realtors in the house. Devon.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
How are you? Good to see you, man.
Hey, is that a recognizable voice?
That's a record. And she's giving you the peace sign too.
Oh, my goodness.
Welcome. Devon, nice to have you.
Thank you for having me. As always, something always comes up, even in this turbulent time. So I apologize not making it at 1 o'clock, but I had to try to address some issues for some former clients. And you never can tell when a leak or something like that is going to happen, but this is not about me. Let me give the floor back. I'm here now, and thank you for inviting me.
It is about you, brother. That's what this is all about, y'all. It ain't about me. I'm glad to have you, and I know how it is when clients call. It's so funny. It was 1:45, and my phone rings, and I'm like, I can't talk long because, well, I happen to be the host. I can't be late. But, we always have these things pop up. We were talking about not being, being focused on being busy with the right things. That's what we were focused on. So we're glad you're here. You were focused on a client. That's probably the most important thing we can all focus on, right? If we get the client stuff right, we're good to go. But here's an interesting thought I'm going to throw at you all. when we get our client base, do you think that it's important that we serve the client at all costs, or do we still have to prioritize the rest of our business? What's your thought on that?
You still have to prioritize the rest of your business. It's not at all costs. Some clients you don't want. It's just, you have to analyze, and some clients are so high maintenance that you really don't want them. And just quickly, I had a client who ordered something from me last week, and I dropped everything I was doing. I gave her a consultation. I sent her the products. She called me back. She took the product, and 6 hours later, she called me back wanting her money back because the product didn't work yet.
What?
So is that a client I want to work with? No, sorry.
Well, you know what?
Sorry.
I think that when you look at your clients, your clients have to understand your value. And so even though, we want the business, especially now, we want to make sure we can sit with them. If someone calls you, you have to let them know, my day is already planned. Let me get back to you at a certain time or whatever, put you on my schedule. So they have to understand your value and your worth as far as your time. And
yeah, I get that, but it was not a problem for me to take care of her at the moment. I don't regret that part of it. I just learned something about this client that was valuable to me. Now I wouldn't do it again.
even if you had the time and
Exactly.
you wouldn't mind doing, you still have to set those parameters.
Because that is not a client I want to work with.
And then this way, even if she did call back, again, your parameters are set, and you let them know,
exactly.
I'll get back with you, or let me know send me an email, let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you have the time to think about what you're going to do. But I definitely understand about that. There are some clients who are high maintenance.
Walmart is still open. There's a nice little, health section in Walmart. So
That can cure you in 3 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm going to give you a little shameless plug, though, about this whole client delivery. And it ain't about Mark. It's about Maria. In our podcast, we talked about it. She talks about roles and systems, which I think is brilliant. All of us are going to, depending on how many staff, if we have staff or not, but determining roles and systems so that she's focused on what we call rainmaking, but her clients' needs are always covered because she has people who accepts and takes those roles. I think you started talking about that today by everyone staying in their lane, right? And so even when we think about this being busy and servicing our client, which does matter, we want our clients to be happy. The reality is that we've got to figure out if we're going to be scalable and we're going to grow and we're going to become profitable, we've got to figure out how to service the client's needs, but not have us doing all the servicing, or else our capacity is always going to be limited. So when we're talking about being busy, try to focus on how you can meet your client's needs without you actually having to do it, or else you can only get but so big. There's only so many hours in the day. So how do we meet those client needs? That's something that we all should ponder and figure out in our businesses as we continue to grow. Just my 2 cents. Devon, sir.
So I have an appointment. Is this going to be available to watch the rest? Mark?
Of course.
Okay.
We will. I usually record it and then I post it. We're actually on live Facebook this time, but I usually post it on, I think, Wednesdays.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay.
Awesome.
On that same note, I'm going to be leaving you.
I know
for my
you got to cut
appointment.
out too.
Yeah, I got a client in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, but Marvin, I've been looking to put my business online. So your business sounds pretty cool.
Hi, Renee.
I'm at renee@brioholistics.com. If you can send me some information.
I'm going to put my phone number in here.
When all of this stuff is done, if you want me to,
I will
send
send you
out
an
an
email.
email, I have all you guys' email. I can put you all on an email list. And
That'd be
then,
awesome. That'd be
for
awesome.
those who want to chat it up.
Yeah, and
let's
then
do
I'll contact you
All right.
and chat a
All
little
right.
bit.
And if you don't get an
Take care.
email from me in 2 days, then just hit me back and say, hey, where's my email?
Right. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Hey,
Take care.
hey,
Take
bye-bye, Renee.
care.
Bye.
Bye, Mark.
All right. Take care.
All right, guys. So basically, I just wanted to share something in regards to that, and I really appreciate. And I'm so sorry for my tardiness because I
That's
can see
okay.
that this has been very insightful. just off of, the comments that's been as of late. Just to address, like, when you're trying to address your client's needs, if that was the question, is it at all cost? You always want to, do things that's going to benefit and help your business to grow. But you start to see that a lot of times people will never realize how valuable you are until it's too late. You can have a wealth of knowledge. You can bend over backwards. And some people look at it as it's just a check. You're just doing your job. But in this real estate world, to set yourself apart. When you give of yourself, no one can be you. There's no imitation of you. You can teach certain things, but you have to stand out. I just experienced today, I've had, this is probably the fifth deal that's probably collapsed since the pandemic. So week after week, there was deals that was just collapsing. So great amount of money to be a new business and to have that volume of work just collapse like that. Today was like my, I think, sixth deal. And I was just told that it collapsed today, like the seller is just pulling out. One of the things, just to tell this story, it was 5 months that we took to get a full action price offer in 2019. We got the full action price offer. This person, through another broker, we were going through the process. So way before the pandemic really started hitting, we were in the process. We was in contract. Everything was going pretty good, but there were some red flags. And long story short, it got to the point where something that I usually take and get done in 3 months was taking 6 months. It was really no reason for this deal to be 6 months. Well, as of last month, my client said, look, if they can't make it happen by May 15th, I don't want to hear anything. I don't care. We're pulling out. Somewhat reasonable because of the time. But at the same time, how many people are involved in the deal for those who do real estate? We know it's us, it's the attorneys, it's the mortgage brokers, underwriters. You have so many sources of people that's wrapped up in a deal. So for somebody to say it's taking too long, well, my client is not in a position where they're strapped for money. I'm doing everything and I'm there to work for them in their best interest. So sometimes the work that I put in return of that check is really not enough because you did so much to try to secure a deal and make everybody happy. But now he's pulling the trigger on it. And opposed to looking at the market that we're in, the fact that it took 5 months prior to get to a full action price offer, to be 5 months in and maybe a week away from the bank making a decision if this person is going to get this commitment letter or not. Now to go back into a market that's worse than it was in 2019, now you're looking at a whole new environment of the market that we are affected by. So what is the chances of me getting another full action price offer in this environment? It's not impossible, but it's probably going to take more than 5 months to get back to that point of even getting an offer to match what we're about to lose within a week. Well, I should say at 11:59, it's basically a done deal. So all of that to say, sometimes you exhaust all of this and somebody could just say, I don't care, the 15th is here. I don't care that $450,000 is on the line. I'm just walking away. You already waited 10 months, right? What's 5 days? And now you're going to say, put it back on the market. And if his expectations is the same as they were 2 years ago, we're not in that market anymore, right? So for you to expect the same thing, want better results in a more volatile market, what does that say about the relationship that you have with what's going on or the realities of what's going on right now? So I just said all of that. Sometimes the work that you put in and you do all of these things, their expectations sometimes is not derived off of the realities of what we have to do to get to that point. We're negotiators. We're coming up with options. We're doing the work. And we're not promising, but based off our production, we're going to give you a good result. But you have to trust and value our expertise and what we're telling you. And that's where you get the best result. If you get one that can respect you and honor your expertise to perform at a high level. And if you've done that in the past, it should be relevant, right? But that's not even it's not always the case. I've made these guys over $2.5 million in a small building. They're not pressed for money, but yet he said the 15th, I don't want to hear anything. And he hung up on me when I tried to explain what was going on. Is this the type of client you want? Is this the type of client you need?
Is it a buyer or I don't, were you representing the buyer or the seller?
Representing the seller. I could walk you through the process. The seller I had it on the market. I'm the exclusive agent for them. Exclusive broker for their building pretty much. This particular unit, 485, 2-bedroom, 342 East 100th Street. We had it on the market, had plenty of offers, but no full action price offer in 2019. And then when we got the full action price offer, which was made December 7th of 2019, it was accepted, contracts went out, was not executed because we had to qualify the buyer. And they took 2 months to give me an application back, which is unheard of, taking 2 months to give me an application. And then once the contract did get executed, we still didn't receive a commitment letter from February, the end of February when the contract got executed, to now. We have no commitment letter. And when I'm speaking to the mortgage brokers, they're saying that they're still waiting for documents from the buyer. Everything happens, but you can't blame that on the corona virus or pandemic. Nothing of that says anything. If you have the finances, you have the resources, there's nobody that can tell me it's going to take 3 months, March, April, middle of May, to get a commitment letter. So yeah, we're all frustrated. But again, if it's in the underwriter's hand, what do they need? Maybe 3 to 5 days to say yes or no. So my thing was to the seller, my client, if the mortgage brokers are still waiting, the mortgage brokers are still waiting to get documents, then forget about it. They've been saying that for the past couple of months. But if they have the documents in the underwriter's hands, I would say it's worth waiting those 3 to 5 days because they're going to say yes or no, right? So that's how I looked at it. But today was the day that my client gave the ultimatum. If they didn't have the documents ready, if they couldn't give us a closing date, if they couldn't say that there's a commitment letter, then the deal is off. So now, like I said, 11:59 today, the deal is going to be off because there was no indication that they were going to have everything that they needed to move forward to a closing. So unfortunately, that just is a big commission, right? Out of the hands.
So,
but I did everything I was supposed to do.
Here's an interesting question. I mean, this is interesting, especially with you guys, right? But probably for all of us. How do you deal with difficult clients? Because in the tax and accounting world, it's a little bit different, right? Especially for taxes. If a person comes in and they're a pain in the butt, I say kick rocks. You know, but kick it. But now you're talking about a seller that you've done millions of dollars of deals with. So how do you deal with tough clients that you really want to have? I'm asking, I guess, Devon, Maria, because that you probably have dealt with that, and Jonathan, because when you deal with a developer or a real estate investor, you know, that's not just a one-time deal or a $500 tax return, or, right? So how would you deal with it? Are you the kick rock kind of guy, girl?
I'll answer that real quick. Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes.
You're the kick rock?
Very, very quickly, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm a very small player in a very large pond. And I go through a very detailed process. The larger the project, the more detailed the process to pitch the sale, get the client, make them comfortable with the fact that they got some young guy who they don't know, whose name isn't big on the street, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into launching their project. I've learned the hard way that you can tell, from my perspective, in my world, you can tell very quickly if a client is going to be a normal client with questions, because everyone has questions. You got to differentiate between questions and an antagonistic individual. You know, everybody has questions. I encourage questions. If I can't answer your questions, there's a problem, you know, or I'll get the answer for you. But you can quickly tell between that and an individual who's trying to take you for a ride. So what I've had to learn was both in my approach and in how I have payments made, my payment schedule I tier my process so that at any moment, if either one of us aren't happy, if either one of us aren't comfortable, we could split ways. We can split ways. And I've done that. I've actually had to tell one client that they're fired. And they said, look at me, how are you going to fire me? I hired you. I said, see, that's the whole problem. My approach to a project is that we're partners on this. Here's what you desire. Here's what I propose. We come to a mutual understanding. And if that doesn't work for you, you can let me go. Same thing. I can let you go if this isn't working out. And I've had to do it. So I may not say necessarily kick rocks, because in my world, I'm sure realtors notice as well, word of mouth is everything. Even how you split up is important. So, I'm glad to say only one person I actually say get out my face to. But for the most part, I'll tell a client to go. And there's barometers. Let me just make that clear. I'm not quick to pull the trigger because, look, I'm in this to make money. I need money. But, if certain red flags are popping up, and I've learned over the years what those flags are, I would quicker leave a project amicably and instead of letting it get toxic. So I've told clients to leave.
And you have to maintain a certain amount of control of what the situation is, no matter how you're working with them. You don't want any client to feel like you are totally dependent on what, on their monies. So, you have to think, is it really worth it to have to deal with this headache? Mm-hmm. Or, just let them go and you get that other client that can work well with you and you move on.
Yeah, to Devon's point, he mentioned something that I thought was Devon, am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, cool. He said something that I thought was interesting because it is a touch and go thing. You have to know how to differentiate between a client that is a pain, but you can work through it to an end goal, or a client where this is just going to be a dead end. And I'm not saying that my judgment is perfect, but you can tell. Like in his situation, I would think, look, you do everything within your power, reasonably so, but you do everything you can. And if the situation kind of stalls, it can't be said that it was on any lack of yours.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like he didn't blame me, but one of the things is with my thing with this particular client, I've worked with them since 2015. Mm-hmm. And I'm the type of person I like to get to know who I'm working with, their attitude, what makes them tick, what makes them happy, this, that, and the third. It's just how I am. I don't want to work with you if it's just do this, do what I say. And right. I'm not, I'm going to be informative. I'm going to do what I can. Long story short, with him, I know he's not a reasonable person. He'll be the first one if he met any of you and you mention my name. Oh, he's great. He does this. He got us that. But then he's somewhat disrespectful. It's like it's either you're extremely high or you're not low, but say like you're hot or you're cold. Mm-hmm. So with him, he didn't blame me, but I was trying to help him to understand that my process when I work with ones, if I have the control, we get it done. They know exactly how I work from front to end, and we get a positive result. So now on this issue, I co-broke with somebody who didn't have the same, and I don't speak negatively, but I have to speak facts. The work ethics wasn't the same, and we didn't get the result. So it was slower. And I was trying to tell him, I cannot take over that person's client. I can assist, but I can't take over the deal. That's why they don't have XYZ. So a long story short, one's understanding your value, your time, your expertise, and things like that. If he trusted me, he would have said, Devon, I see what you're saying because I'm going to give you the whole scope. We've done everything we can, but look at our future. You have an obligation to the shareholders to protect that investment. So to let this money go and say, well, go back out there and do it again, it's not just you, it's the people you represent. And sometimes it just, I would say a conflict of interest or a conflict of how you're trying to approach where I don't just look at you, I look at everybody who's involved. Mm-hmm. So here I'm out of a commission. Yeah, it hurts in this environment. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the forecast of what's going on in the market was not respected to say, could you make a better informed decision? If I had to say I did my job, yes, I did it. To the fullest degree, yes, I did. Did I get paid for it? No, I didn't. But we know as brokers in this job, you can put all this energy and still get this type of outcome. No fault to us. But now, hopefully through conversations like this, what can we do to reevaluate our value, adjust to this market? How can we keep on a playing field that we still have opportunities and monies coming in, even in a market like this? How do we restructure our playing field to be productive and keep those opportunities coming? Because with this, my goal now is like, hey, you know what? After 11:59, here's a new contract. Sign it. Give me the next 6 months, and just go back to what I know to do, and see what happens. But I still have to brainstorm on this type of market. He hung up on me, right? But I can't let that be
Rough, brother.
the last thing that I hear, right? There's a job at hand. I know who he is. I know how tomorrow he'll act like nothing happened. How many times I'm gonna let you hang up on me? When I get paid enough. When I can provide for my family and say, you hung up on me, but you still give me the contract, right? And like I said, everybody has a bad day. Everybody gets frustrated, but trying to explain our job to the general public, it's a long story. You can't do it, right? You either respect it or you don't, or you try to have some type of understanding. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. But you're gonna have some knuckleheads that it's hard to deal with, and then you're gonna have some that you can say, I could weather the storm with them, because there is some respect there. It's just not a great understanding of my worth and my value.
Understood.
Devon, where are you?
I'm in Manhattan. I'm in Harlem. I've been in real estate 15 years. I opened up my practice 2018. And this is probably the most activity that I've had, like on my own, doing this, but it's been the toughest road for me, because this quarter would have been a great quarter this year. It started off really well, 6 deals. But for those 6 deals to collapse in those 3 months, it's a heartbreak. Anything over $100,000 that you lose in a matter of weeks, and you're just starting out, it's like, wow. And then you're dealing with somebody hanging up on you. So yeah, I have 5 opportunities with those same deals that collapsed, but in this type of market. So I have to pick back up and say, hey, I have another 5, 6 opportunities, and maybe more to come. But now what do we do? How do we make it happen in this environment? It's not impossible, but how do we make it happen? But, as non-essential workers, I can't work from home. I'm like, all that virtual reality stuff, I mean, come on. I'm taking videos and I'm sending videos out, and I'm like, hey, look at this, and they're appreciative, but nobody's going to spend over $500,000 on something that they haven't walked into, right?
So you only do commercial property?
I'm focusing on residential. I've done some commercial, but that hasn't been my strong point. I've only done a few commercials, so I know that's a whole nother market. My idea was to say, through my networking and through my niche, I do a lot of HDFC properties, which Renee, who just left, is the president of one. Actually, that was one of the first buildings I started with the real estate, representing HDFC properties, which is low to moderate income family homes, co-ops and things. So I specialize in that, and that's given me great opportunities. So this was the year to, like, long story short, just really structure the business, get the income, create the environment to say I can put on an assistant. I would have the monies to do so. But I guess in the quickest way to say it is, like, as soon as I got my license and started the business, everybody's, oh, great, you finally got your own business. And everybody started coming. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is great. And everything was just coming. And then this happened, and everything just unraveled. So I'm literally, in my eyes, back to square one, like really starting all over again. Like, this collapsed everything in such a short time. It came quickly, and it went just as fast. So I'm like, just got to start over again. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Can I jump in there a little bit?
Oh,
Throw wrote,
Mhm.
Adam.
Sure.
You're not starting over from square one. I mean, it might feel like that, but
Mhm.
what you've already accomplished, you have to always keep that in mind. You have your systems in place already, at least some of them. You have a process in place. You have a work ethic in place, and you have a name in place. So all you're going to do now is you're going to pick up where you left off. I used to write code. I used to be a programmer professionally, you know.
Mhm.
And I remember there were times when I'd write a subroutine or a function, and it would take me a day. It was so complex. You know, you write. Your thought process is there. And then all of a sudden, something goes wrong and you lose the function. It doesn't save or whatever. It's like, oh my goodness, I got to start over again. The second time writing the same function, a fraction of the time. It's something about walking through that process that got you further than before. You're at the point now, it's like, okay, well, I don't have these deals, but I know exactly what I did. Even if you don't remember exactly, I know in your mind, you have already gotten those deals before. You will do it again. And I think Maria and I was talking, it was you and I, we talked about the economy, when we think it's going to be a V-shape. Even though it kind of collapsed, the collapse, and I've been watching a lot of financial, is different than in the past. You know, in 08, 09, when the economy collapsed, it was about the manufacturing. This is specific to a pandemic, which means that, and I could be wrong because I'm not an economist, that when everything kind of opens up, there are going to be people ramping to finish what they started. And so what you need to do, in my opinion, is now you need to start getting your strategy for success in place. You know, you're dealing with this guy, 1159, you're going to come on a new contract. He's one dude. I'd be trying to figure out how to get to every person, because you are a specialist. HDFC, that's what you said, HDFC.
Yes. HDFC.
I'd be like ready and open for business as a 1201. And
Right.
you need to focus on
Yeah.
your marketing piece on every contact you have outside of that one dude. He's almost like he's right here. All I do is hand him the contract.
Mhm.
I think, and I could be completely wrong, but you were primed for success. This right now is just a speed bump. It's not a wall. And you'll go right over it as long as you focus on your systems and you focus on staying busy on the right thing, which is getting your name out right now, to anybody that you want to do business with.
And you obviously have some contacts. I mean, if you're dealing with him, you obviously have got some other people that you could be going to deal with too.
Oh yeah. He was like I mean, he's one of my biggest clients. You know, I try to represent the building. Like he has 17 units. Renee has 36 units. I have another building that's 52 units. So usually when I come in, I've been blessed to where when I come in and I do something, my work ethics, speaks volumes, in the sense that they trust you and they say, wait, you know what? He's informative. He does what he says. And then, in some environments, they will say, well, he's the go-to guy, which is always great if getting your brand out there of service. So I'm comfortable with that, and I'm going to build on that. And I thank Mark for that, because I don't want to look at it as a wall, but more on another end of learning from these mistakes. Not even mistakes, I don't believe there was anything that I did, but there was, what do you call it? Maria?
Yeah. So, question, and we do business differently in New Jersey than you guys do in New York.
Oh, yeah, Jersey. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey. But my question to you is there a lender relationship that you can leverage going forward and explain to your pain in the ass client that, hey, this took way too long. We've got, Joe Lender on board, and we are going to have, he is going to qualify any offers you have coming forward. So we've got an extra level of assurity that these people your buyers are going to be able to perform and are not going to be dragging their feet or what have you. So right from the get-go, we'll have our lender qualify them also, and that way we'll have this assurance in place, and this won't occur again. And you're making a huge fund with a lender if you can, because maybe these people come in, they already have a lender, but now they have the lender is looking at them, so maybe it's more business for him. And you're doing this as an extra service for your client. You're telling him, we're going to do everything possible to make sure that any offers going forward are as secure as they can be before we get you tied up in a contract where somebody's not going to be able to perform.
That's great advice, Marie, and that's what I do. I usually my protocol for how I operate is having lenders, First Republic, Citibank, Chase, all of the major lenders that deal with HDFCs and first name basis, and that's what is part of the success that I have, because I have HDFC, I call it HDFC qualified attorneys who deal with these type of properties. So it eliminates the trying to figure out, well, I'm a lawyer. Well, no, I need an HDFC qualified lawyer who knows their work, that I can, refer, because of the work ethics and everything works nice. So that's the part of this bubble that just surprised everybody, because it's like, Devon, you from front to end, meaning first time home buyer, hey, I got a great guy over here at First Republic, talk to them, boom, 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 boom. You need an HDFC attorney. You know what? I got 3. Pick one of them. They're my top guys. Of course, I have a list of 10 or so, but my top 3, I always spin those out. And as soon as you pick that lawyer, you pick that loan officer, everything just clicks, and then I'm off and running. Here with the co-broke, there was a gentleman from Halstead. He comes in and they wanted to assert themselves, and I'm like, this is the deal. All I need you to do, give me the application, the board package, and get your guy approved. I'm going to take care of the rest. Only because I had the availability and the trust factor from my client to take care of everything. So you didn't need the management company. I already had all of the documents needed, offering plan, bylaws, proprietary lease. I filled out the questionnaire for the bank, got it approved by the president of the board. Everything you need to do with these transactions, I would just say out of the 10 steps, I did 8 and left the co-broke associate broker to do 2, which was give me the application, I'll qualify it, I'll run the credit, do everything else. I'll set up the appointment with the board. I'll open up the doors to get it.
What went wrong?
What went wrong? I trusted.
Right, so I think what Mark's saying is, how do you learn from, how do you learn from what happened?
From learning from that process would be for me to say, and it's bad because it's like I'm battling it, because as you're an agent or a broker, I got to respect you for what you do. I think my dialogue should be more direct in saying, this is what needs to be done. This is the process, which I did do this. This is all I need you to do. It wasn't honored. And even at this day, last night, the other broker called me and said, well, there's some on your part, like some blame type thing. And I'm like, no, I told you exactly what it was, what it would take from the beginning. So with that, the only thing that I can say, I don't want to micromanage anybody. I want to respect you as a colleague. I want to respect your profession. I want to trust that you're going to work with me in the best interest of your client and my client. And we're going to make a deal happen. That did not happen because what I realized from him, he allowed a first-time home buyer to tell him he got it. If he got it, then he wouldn't need you. So got it in the sense of how many first-time home buyers know who to go to and how to help them along and all of this process. I think the consultation should have been between him and his client, which never took place. He trusted his client to get the job done.
Can I
and
jump
that's
in real
not
quick?
what we do as professionals.
Can I jump in real quick?
Do it. I'm sorry, Mark.
You said you co-brokered with this guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he's where he dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he dropped the ball. The co-broke part is he supplied the buyer, right? I'm representing the seller. He supplied the buyer. He came in, made a full action price offer. Now it's my job to qualify him and do the rest of the work that I was given to do. I can't ask him to qualify him. I have to check the associate broker's work, right? So I'm asking, here's an application. We need to qualify the buyer. Give it to me so I can make sure everything is done. And then I'll take it from there. I'll get him an interview. I'll get him processed. and now you have the executed contract. Now it's up to you to get your guy approved by the bank and get us a commitment letter.
Yeah, I
Everything
guess
else is
my
taken care of.
question though. I guess my question though is if that guy would have done everything he was supposed to have done, would the deal have gone through?
Yeah, but he
So
chose not to. He said that, you know what he told me last night? He said the whole process was backwards.
I understand, but what I'm saying is you're the owner of your business, and this is partly what I think what I'm saying when we learn from something.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to engage with you, and it's my business, this is the way we're going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And my client knows that when you work with Mark, this is the way to do it. And I don't know about the details with you. It could be Mark don't co-broker. I don't know. You know, or Mark does it this way. And that's one thing you would learn from that. I would learn from this. Whatever went wrong, I would, in my plan, make sure that I am controlling that aspect. And everybody knows it. So this guy comes to, I would rather, honestly, if a guy came to me and said, hey, based on your scenario, I got a full place buyer, whatever that is, full price buyer. And I say, okay, this is what I need. The minute he says, this and that, no, this is how it has to be done. And if he can't do that, then you can't have the house. I'm going to find somebody else. Because
Right. There should have been more parameters put
no
on
other
that.
way around. I'll tell you this, when I bought my second house, both houses, the first time I had a real estate agent, this was 20 years ago. She was like, you're going to do this. I've got this all together. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. All I had to do was someone sign papers. The second time I bought my house, the people were like, it was bank owned. They were like, if you want this house, now I'm coming with the money. I'm coming with the money. They were like, if you want this house, you will use this mortgage broker. You will do this, you will do that. And I said, you know what? I really want that house. And I followed their rules. Same thing with you. You know, you have a client, you represent the seller. Somebody comes with a full price. I don't know all the laws and all that. That's your job. But when it finally says, okay, we got to go for it. It's okay. So now here's how I do it. Because you're the specialist, man. You're the specialist. This is how it's done. If the guy says, well, no, if you can't do it this way, I'm going to keep looking for a buyer because I don't have time to play games, you know. And that's the one thing I would throw at you. And I don't know the rules. And Maria, you know, you guys are brokers, but
well, yeah, it went to that degree though, because if you bring a buyer and he says, look, I have an attorney, I already have a pre-approval. He said Citibank, I work with Citibank. I'm like, okay, then you have everything in place. Let's just make it happen. You know, so I can't go and take over his client because as we know in real estate, they'll tell you, you know, they're either working with you on the side of the seller or they have their buyer as their client. And he has his fiduciary relationship with his buyer and I have my fiduciary relationship with the seller. So I just gave it to him because he came to me with the buyer. He said he already had an attorney. He said he already been pre-approved. So I'm like, I can offer things, but once you say that, it's up to you to prove what you're saying to be true. So there was nothing more for me to do on that end of it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you're a broker, I'm a broker. You're an accountant, I'm an accountant, and we can have dialogue. But I kept it very simple. I'm like, just give me the application and we do it from that. But like you said, everything is a learning period, a learning process. So I take from that, like I said, this is the first time something like that has happened to me. So I got to learn from it. So
we do things in New Jersey. We lay things out and we put timelines on them and then they have to meet them. So
that's what I should have did with the timeline.
You know, I'm not giving anybody more than 30 days to get a mortgage commitment. And so maybe you tighten up those, you know, maybe that things.
That's the biggest hole, like putting those time frames, because when I gave it and I was dealing with the other deals, that was my bad part there because I put the interest there and I'm like, okay, we got this on the back burner. Let me come back and check and follow up. And when I checked, I'm like, what do you mean I don't have the application? So by the time I got the application, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have my client, you know, sign. And this is, I don't know if y'all know about HFCs, but with the HFC, long story short, you have to qualify that person.
I'm sorry. No, I know. We're getting deep. Yeah, we're at the 1 hour mark. And we didn't even do our things. So I apologize. We kind of got a little sidetracked.
Yeah, I apologize.
No worries, no worries. Welcome to the crew. Normally what we
It's
try
just
to
all fresh. It's all fresh in his head. He had to get that out.
Dude hung up.
It's like, but
So,
I thank y'all for your information.
no worries. What I want to recommend, and it's something that we try to do with this group, is so you learn something from this. What can you do next week to improve on that process? What can you do next week, within the next week, to say that the next time this happens, I won't have this issue? What do you think you can do?
Oh, just what Maria just said. For me, not to be long-winded anymore at this point, but to say that I appreciated looking at timelines, and that's what I didn't put. Some things I took for granted and just said like, wow, you know what? He knows that we should have this by this time, and I trusted him to do that. But now I'm going to do exactly what Maria said. Put timelines on it. I have to have this by this time, and I have to have this by this time, and that would help me keep track of staying within my lane of knowing when it's supposed to be done, because we're hitting those marks. And any red flags that comes up, if they can't honor that, then I don't want to work with them, because it's only going to backfire, and I'm going to be the one without a check, and it's going to mess up everything. So I appreciate that.
So can I give you a suggestion? In the next week,
Of course.
create a document, your project management document, with all the tasks and all the timelines and a checklist, and then print it up, have it as a Word doc, a PDF, so that when you get your next deal, you say, here, this is what we are going to follow. And then when the deal starts, if you put a start date on it, every other date will fall in line, right? If it's June 1st, task number 4 will have to be started and completed by June 18th or whatever it is. And you can now you have a calendar event. So even as you have this is so you be scalable. Even if you have other deals, you're looking at these documents, and every day there's something that should happen. You kind of flip through your little checklist and things are done or not. That way you don't waste time. So I would suggest that might be a good commitment for you this week.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for that homework, because I'm putting it down now, like I'm putting the notes.
That's what I do.
And I just want to say, he talks about how he trusted him. You got to trust, but verify. Mm-hmm. So even though you trust that he's going to do certain things, you need to verify those things are taken care of when they're supposed to be taken care of. So it all goes along with your whole system of what you're going to do.
It's really, and I wanted to interject this real quick, and I'm going to keep it real short, but it's about accountability, even with people that you trust. Because in my world, right, I'm transitioning from the individual who swings the hammer to managing the people who swing the hammers, because I don't want to do the work anymore. That's why I'm getting into general contracting. Long term, I want to get into investing. I don't want to be the mechanic anymore, but I know how to do it. So whenever I bring a sub onto a job, from the very beginning of walking through that property, I know how long certain tasks are supposed to take. If those tasks are not met, and if it's not met with a reasonable explanation, then you lose the job, because I'm gonna get another sub. Now that's my world, but in your world, the language, from what I'm hearing, I wanted to encourage you, because I had to learn that. I had a buddy do a sub for me, and he took 4 months too long. I lost $4,000. Now for me, that's a lot of money, especially when you just start out. 4 G's is 4 G's. I don't care what you do. So I've learned you gotta hold people accountable, and you gotta look, if you sign this deal, you signing on to this timeline. And if this timeline isn't met, you now know why you're not part of this project.
Right.
And the reality,
that.
It's
so funny he just said that. I was just going to say, I just thought about it. I said, wow, you know what? I didn't put a time frame on it. And that was my fault for not having that time frame there. And I'm like, I just asked for an application and for you to do this.
Yeah.
I was so busy doing everything else that I forgot to say, this is the part that is the easiest part. Give me an application. But I should have said, you should have had this done by this time. So I really appreciate that.
And I think having it written down and presenting it to someone, I'm telling you, if you have it written down and you put in a starting date and every other date is filled and you hand it to them, you don't even have to say much. Here's your role, here's the date. You just circle back and check it. So it's a process and that's part of, you're a specialist. Now you need to document your system so that you can just lay it out every time it starts. It almost becomes brainless at that point. So I like that to be your homework. Jonathan, last week you were going to be on all kinds of stuff. It was about building your financial team. How'd it go?
Yes. So besides you, I've been
I've been delinquent. I owe you some stuff still.
Yes, you do. We're gonna talk about that offline.
We will.
But when I said financial team, I didn't flesh out fully what I meant. You'll learn about me, y'all. I work off instinct, so I don't necessarily, vocalize very clearly, but I know what I mean. So I was able to actually gather more mentors, more not on the GC side, on the building side, but now more on the funding side, paying schedules for subs, because I am slowly trying to build an investment group so I can get my knowledge up. So I was able to get one other individual. He's been in real estate here in Pennsylvania for some time, and he's been educating me on the process of communicating with banks, forms to fill out, how to present proposals, because the big time general contractors here, they actually get their they actually GC their own projects and then have realtors who sell them. And that's the level that I'm trying to get to. So I found one mentor, which is big for me because I really don't like talking to people who I don't know. But yeah, that was big time. So we're going to be linking up this week, and he's going to be turning me on to a real estate investment group. That's educational. It's all about education.
So your next week's commitment is to do what?
Join the group.
Group.
Actually join the group. Put actual dollars down to the concept. Join the group, become a member, and actually start ramping up my education on pitching to investors and how to pitch to investment groups, not just one-on-ones. A lot of stuff here in PA is done by 4 or 5 people. One person doesn't have $500,000 because we're not Manhattan. I'm from New York, so I know what it is. But PA, Philadelphia, they don't roll like that. So instead of having one large client, how do you pitch to 3 or 4 who are making up a group? What's the format? How do you do that to make them comfortable, especially when you're just starting out? So join the group this week is the plan.
Nice. Colette, last week you said you were going to work on your marketing for women who are displaced at the moment. How'd it go?
Not women who are displaced, but women who I want to help to educate them on retirement.
Okay.
I completed, there's like 2 different parts to this, but I did complete the content for my ebook for the layoff portion because there's a lot of people being laid off. So I'm doing that e-guide on what to do so that I can try to get some leads generated from that. So it's completed. Now I'm laying it out so that I can package it to look good and put it on the landing page. And we're also working on the landing page. One thing I did get accomplished is my new website. I did submit to my FMO. So I'm waiting to hear back to make sure it's compliant. And then we can just announce it as this is my website.
Oh, nice.
That's
very
awesome.
Nice. So you did it. Excellent. I got all my stuff accomplished last week. Boom.
That's what it is.
Podcast lab today.
Yep.
So we have 3 of them up. I created the website. Not really creating a template. The website is up. I've submitted it to iTunes and all those things that you have to do. It's a process to get that rolling. It's now on YouTube, the actual recordings of the podcast. So all of that was done. That was my big challenge. I did sacrifice some things, but it's about being busy with the right stuff. That was it. Now next week, what I need to pivot to is getting action items based off of the things that I'm doing. So I'm working with my marketing team, and I think on Monday we'll have a meeting and we'll come up with a plan next week for marketing. So awesome. We're getting there, guys.
Hey, Mark, can you are you going to send out the information on the different ones that were on the call? Because I think I might want to talk to Marvin about to see,
Website?
the content as far as social media content. I think one of the things that I'm having a problem with is because I did online marketing. So, you know, you're like, oh, I can do that. I'm gonna just put something together. And then, you got to run your business. So now I have to trust someone to be able to put together content for me and all that. And I'm right now looking for someone to do, whether it's blog posts or Facebook posts or something like that, because it just takes too much time to do the research.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will do that. Get an email together. Probably not today, but soon, and we'll get it out. But that's definitely something we can definitely do.
Okay.
Cool. So hey guys, thank you so much. You guys rolled all the way through. That was cool. I hope we can keep this going and we can all keep growing our businesses. We'll catch up.
Good stuff.
Hey,
Right. Thanks a
thanks
lot,
again
Mark.
for the invite. Nice meeting y'all, and
Yes.
very informative. All
Good
right.
stuff, y'all.
Thanks a lot, Mark. You guys take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.